Hi there, my name's Willard Van De Bogart. I'm with an electronic music group called the Ethership. Been around for about 4 decades. And with so many changes going on today with everything, I thought that I would give a few ideas about what I'm trying to do with the sounds that the Ethership makes. But before I do that, I thought maybe it would be nice just to give credit to a lot of the crew members that have been on the Ethership over the years. I think that's be a good thing to do. The percussionist Zev, Z-E-F, he was an amazing musician, known worldwide. He could make sounds just about out of anything. We used to play together, and he was able to mix very unusual sounds with electronic sounds. I miss Zev. We all do. Will Jackson is another musician. He made electronic music on the Serge Shrepnin synthesizer. He played on the Greenpeace ship out in the Pacific Ocean, trying to communicate with the whales. We played together for a very long time, and we really were able to do some amazing compositions together, and I miss him a lot. Some other members are the electric violinist, Walter Stedding. Walter has his own band in New York City, spent a long time with the Andy Warhol artist group in the city, and I've known him for many years, and his electronic violin sounds really were quite celestial, I must say. Very nice. Let's see, Tom Corman. He had electric bass sound that gave a very deep tone to the Ethership, almost like submerging under the water. Tom McVitie from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Tom has a cello, played with the Albuquerque Symphony Orchestra, and his sounds were just ethereal. They just had a really rare space orientation to them. It was just a real nice sound. We had a drummer at one time, Selwyn Lissack, and he gave a certain kind of percussion aspect to the electronic sounds, and really enjoyed the mixing that way. We have Liz Bryant. She was a singer from San Pedro, and very much liked her sounds. And of course, we have a longtime friend and also an engineering friend who travels out to Tuba quite a lot to record the throat singers. Was good friends with Congarol, world-renowned throat singer. He's passed away, sorry to say. And also got a nomination for soundtrack for Genghis Blues Academy Award. Name is Lemon DeGeorge. He lives in San Francisco, has a studio called Crab Nebula. Now there's other people too. My good friend Brad Steiger, science fiction writer. He used our sounds for hypnosis, abductions, trying to rekindle the memories of any of the UFO types of experiences people had. Brad's no longer with us, but he was he included a nice book he wrote called Real Visitors. So I'll get into the some of the alien UFO aspects to that. But with that comes to mind xenolinguistics, and I worked, another member was Scott Forshore. He was from the UK, and he was a quantum computer software developer. And we did a lot of work with images of petroglyphs on rocks and star fields in the heavens, and mixed them together to make sounds on a very sophisticated computer. Scott's still with us, and a very busy man with his own company. And another friend who's no longer with us is Rush Allen. Rush knew a lot about archaeoastronomy and astrophysics, and provided a lot of star charts, because the Ethership goes out to many remote places quite a lot. And we used all of Rush's star charts to align our our equipment when we went to the desert or mountains or wherever we would go. We would have star charts. We no longer have Rush with us. I'm sorry to say about that. So let's see. So those are some of the people that really played a big role. Others a long time ago, no longer with us. Philosophers like Oliver Reiser, who used to sit with the equipment all the time and listen to scales. Dr. von Eckensberg from Duquesne University. We did a lot of slow scan TV with frequencies from between Chicago and Pittsburgh and New Orleans. Rolf is a very close friend of mine, no longer with us, and was a close friend of Timothy Leary, so got a lot of information on the UFOs. And I don't, there's quite a few more, but the reason I'm here today is I just wanted to talk about some of the ideas that have been going on in my mind, and why I think it's important to make a comment on it. I've been exploring how sound can change consciousness, and it does to a lot of extent, but I've been very interested in the SETI program with NASA, and been very interested in xenolinguistics, and how the sound can be used to communicate with frequencies that are existing in the universe itself. One of the people that's been very supportive in that is Dr. Marcus Buehler from MIT. He gave us, I went to MIT and acquired he let me use the what's called a protein synthesizer. And a protein synthesizer is a synthesizer that has the sounds of about 100,000 proteins within the synthesizer. So you can actually play the sounds of any protein in the body. And the unique thing about that is it's the molecular sound of the structure inside the human body. So the sound that comes out of the human body, sonified into the environment so that you can hear it. There's also the sounds that are sonified that come from outer space. So the idea is that we are kind of like a construction of sound from the very, very beginning. We can go to the Vedas and we can get the original Om sound, or we can go to the 0 point and talk about how sound emerges, how Brahma emerges, how sounds emerge, how the word emerges, and where we are today with our own consciousness. So I'm here today to really just reveal two ideas. One is called the Xenosphere, which is a space that surrounds our whole body. And the other one is not only the Xenosphere, but also the psychosphere. Now, the psychosphere is the way ideas are organized in the mind. And this inner kind of like exploration has been promoted by Satguru. I don't know if any of you have been watching Satguru, but Satguru has this terminology called inner engineering, which I like. And this inner engineering, or this inner state of who we are in relationship to the rest of the universe, comes out with a new kind of terminology that I've been putting together called a psychosynthscope. And the tool that we use, I'm using now as a synthesizer. The synthesizer has these frequencies that modulate other sounds that are inside of the body. There's a synthesis player, my good friend Doug Lenner from Los Gatos, California. He refers to me as a thinkicist versus a synthesis player. I'm a thinkicist. I was kind of like very curious about the sounds and how they affect our minds. So this inner engineering, or this exploration of the dimensions that we imagine, have finally come to focus for me, because the sounds create a certain kind of pathway. There's the tendency of the sound to go into other parts of your mind, other parts of your imagination, I should say. So that's where the scope comes from. Like a telescope is, a very far away, the prefix tele, and the scope being the tool. So I put the tool aspect in the as a suffix, and the prefix I use as the psychosynth, which means when I combine the psychosynth with von Eckensberg's psychocosm, he was very interested in the mapping consciousness. So it was sort of like directions that thought would move in the mind. And this has been going on with psychologists for a very, very long time. Many famous psychologists have constructed elaborate diagrams, if you like, or maps, if you like, or directions of how thought moves in time and space, but how it moves, diagrams of how it moves. So if you look at the lattice structure of the galaxy, and I know there are many now with deep space photographs, you can see the interconnectivity of the plasma fields that connects galaxies. Laniakea, for example, our local galaxy is connected to another galaxy, and it's connected by these electrical field lines. So that's kind of like a grid line, if you like. So you could follow the direction of the lines that connect the clusters of galaxies that form the galaxy cluster called Laniakea in our section of the solar system. So that's the larger kind of like the larger concept. But once you start, I have some sounds in the back now. I have Density is playing, and there's some high frequency notes from Igor Vasiliev's synthscaper. And I've been tuning these frequencies for a very long time, along with now the new frequencies that Marcus Buehler is offering. And he's seeing the frequency structure of spider webs and many other kinds of animals with their own protein structures have very, very unique sounds. So this has led to a different kind of spatiality and consciousness, where all of a sudden the sounds bring, it's sort of like an opening, like the Symplegades going through the gates. It's the ability to sort of the doors of perception. Huxley, we were going through a new space. And once you're in that space, this is sort of a light feeling, a levitational type of feeling, and all of a sudden there's an opening and new ideas. So many of the sounds that come out of our larynx, out of our mouth, of the voice that we make, prior to every word in every sentence, there's a phoneme, a couple syllables, and there's syllables in our mind, and any PR, and the PR can be multiplied hundreds and thousands of times for any combination of PR. It could be pretzel, it could be pry. It prepares consciousness to emit a certain kind of sound. So the electronic music, when it's used to guide thought, then you get to see how different ideas are put together in the whole field of consciousness, and that's called the Xenosphere. Xeno being outside or foreign to anything that's on our planet, and we've been constructed to mirror the entire universe. So we're kind of like living universes. So as we explore, the universe kind of like is expanding. And all the frequencies that go into that expansion are the same kind of frequencies that's in our mind, expanding in multiple directions. So you take a frequency and you tune that frequency, and as you listen to that frequency, it will give you, your mind will have a direction to go in. So this is kind of like where the work is going right now, analyzing a specific protein sound, and then playing, phasing a couple frequencies with a protein sound. And anytime an idea comes, which it will, because it's really difficult not to have ideas, but ideas can be stimulated by many different kinds of sounds. Melodies can trigger memories that go back for loved ones, for any kind of emotion you might want to conjure up will come from a melody. We sort of live in a mediated world with thousands of melodies affecting our consciousness. We interact with those kinds of sounds, and we play them over and over and over again. But there's no reference to an electronic sound. The electronic sound has no memory relationship to it. The electronic sound is a sound that promotes the mind to move in different directions. And there's a language in that too. There's patterns. So when we listen to the sounds that come from radio telescopes, we know that it's the sounds that are coming from quasars and pulsars and many other of the interstellar bodies. And we even have been told, or scientists believe, that gaseous clouds are the formation of other stars. But how about consciousness? How does the consciousness in the universe affect our thinking? And you could say our thinking and the element of consciousness in the universe is quite the same. And it was sort of like emerging, blending with. Let's say we're not emerging. We're trying to emerge. We can emerge. When I say emerge, it's something is coming up into to be accessed. The idea can be accessed. So if you have a synthesizer or a machine that you can buy, of course, once you start making these electronic sounds, you'll find yourself exploring sounds, and you may think that for no reason whatsoever. But that's not true, because the mind all of a sudden has a pure relationship with sound that doesn't have a cultural connection to that sound. And all of a sudden you become sort of a larger being in the universe. So these are the kinds of changes that I think with our technology, with the advances that we have, and the idea accumulation and the idea association that we're putting together, as I'm trying to share with you, putting together a protein synthesizer, putting together a microtonal sound system, or even a tonal generator where you can actually pick specific frequencies. You can pick 432 hertz, or any Hertzian frequency that you want. You can sort of find a relationship with that sound. So sound is a very important ingredient with the ethership, and we have gone to the tops of mountains and made some sounds. I have, certainly, and they've all been documented. If you Google my name, there's a lot of papers that you can find, or you put my name and put UFO after it, you'll find a lot of references to these kinds of sounds. So more and more, I think we're going to find camaraderie with a lot of other people that are finding that new sounds are more conducive to generating new ideas. So that's kind of like a small introduction. I wanted to say I think we're in a very difficult time right now, and we need new ideas. And I'm just promoting the idea that frequency modulation, along with the subjective activity, using thought as a waveform, as well as the wave shapes that you generate with your synthesizer, you can actually come up with many new ideas. So I think I'll just leave it with that. I think I don't know what more to say, but these are the kinds of ideas I wanted to share with you today. So I think thank you very much.